Hey guys, it's Jeff. And so by now you've probably heard of the Chad Reed and Kyle Carruth shooting in Lubbock, Texas. In this video, I want to talk about a few points, kind of give you a recap of what's going on, and give you my thoughts about the whole situation. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. So if you like this video, please throw a comment in the comment section below and let me know your thoughts about this video. And if you like these kinds of videos where I analyze some of these situations, these defensive gun uses, there's another one that's kind of unfolding right now. It's a motorcycle rider who ends up shooting and killing a pregnant woman. Got some interesting thoughts on that. If you're interested, let me know in the comment section below and I'll make a video on that. But for this video, by now, you've probably seen there was a shooting in Lubbock. It was a father who was standing outside of another man's home, and his ex-wife is standing there, and he's mad at her. He's yelling at her, right? She was supposed to produce the child for his parental visitation. The child wasn't there. This had apparently happened in the past. This didn't appear to be the first time this had occurred, and the father was getting pretty pissed off at his ex-wife for denying him his visitation time. So, you know, he's yelling, he's pacing back and forth, he's letting everybody know that he's not happy. And the owner of the home, or what appears to be the owner of the home that they're standing in front of, starts to make a few comments. Now, apparently the ex-wife of the guy, Chad Reed, is the now girlfriend of the person whose home that they're at. And he gets tired of it. The guy's yelling. He's, making threats and making legal claims about what he's going to do and bring everybody into the courts, et cetera, et cetera. And the guy's like, look, Kyle Carruth, he's like, look, man, you got to go. This is enough. Get off my property. Well, that sets Chad Reed off, right? And Chad's like, no, screw you. I'm not going anywhere, et cetera, et cetera. And at that point, Kyle Carruth goes in the house and he grabs what appears to be, for the gun nerds in the audience, what appears to be a Ruger pistol caliber carbine, potentially a 9mm, comes out, and he's now holding it at the low ready, or in a downward position towards Chad Reed's feet. Well, that escalates the situation for Chad, and now Chad is pissed off, but he's now directing his anger towards Kyle. Well, what they end up then with is Chad is so far in this guy's face that he's actually pressing his body up against the other guy, Kyle, who has the pistol caliber carbine. And at this point, he's making threats, and I want to get this right. So he tells Kyle, you better use it, mother effer, because I'll take it away from you and use it, right? And some of that's a little garbled, but that's kind of the gist of it. And so now you've got a verbal threat, right? You've got a gun has been introduced, legally or not. I think it's legal that you can have a firearm on your own property. Chad is obviously trespassing and been told to leave and refused. So now a gun has been introduced into the conversation. So now Chad is up in Kyle's face, who he knows has a gun, and is escalating with verbal threats of violence, right? No words have been said, or no actions have been said. If you don't leave, I'm going to shoot you, or anything like that. It's just, I said, get off my property. And as an exclamation point, he has his gun with him. Now, that sets Chad off. Chad gets in Kyle's face. He's physically contacting him. He's pushing up against him. Or Chad is backing Kyle into a position where he feels that he has to do something, right? Because now he's got physical contact by a larger man, and he's holding a firearm, being verbally threatened. What he does is he steps back one step, and he shoots one round into the porch of his house, in trying to intimidate Chad. Well, that doesn't scare Chad, right? That doesn't send the warning bells off in Chad's head, and he takes that as an escalation of force, so he has to escalate once more. And so he then reaches down for the gun, and he tries to take it away from him. He does a jerking motion, and then he throws Kyle off the porch. At that point, Kyle takes the gun, takes a step back, gets his balance, and fires 2 shots into Chad, ending him right there and then. And that's the event, right? So the whole thing takes a grand total of maybe 30 seconds from start to finish, maybe a minute. And there's several angles. There's an angle from inside the house, and then there's an angle from on the port, or from out of his truck. of Chad's truck. And so we have two different angles of this event occurring and unfolding. And what we see is a man loses life. And you know, now the courts are looking at it. Now there's lawsuits that are starting. There's video out there for all of us to look at and to judge. And for the first issue that I have with this whole situation, and this is the very first issue, as a Texas resident, as somebody who's lived through the family court system, one of the very first things a decent lawyer will tell a non-custodial parent or a parent who's fighting for custody, whenever you do the transfers, as the NCP, as the non-custodial parent, when you're going to this other person's house, you stay on the easement. You don't go on their property, right? That is trespass. You can be warned for trespassing. You can be cited for trespassing if you continue to do it. It's not good practice. The courts don't like it, especially if you're verbally abusive. So just don't do it, right? That's one of the very first things they tell you is you don't trespass on the other person's property. You stay on the easement. Now, had Chad done that, this whole thing would have never existed, right? That's number one. The second thing is we know that this was a visitation issue, right? The whole thing stemmed around Chad trying to see his child, his ex-wife keeping the child, and in some of the family court system circles, this is something that's called parental alienation syndrome. Now, I'm not trying to diagnose, I'm not trying to tell you that I'm an attorney or anything like that, but if you ever looked up parental alienation syndrome, one of the issues there is using children as a pawn. Now, this doesn't appear, like I said earlier, this doesn't appear as though this is the first time this event has occurred, that the mother has tried to prevent access to the child before, and that's really setting the emotions on high level for Chad when he's trying to get access to his child. And the people that created this situation are the same people who refuse to enforce the laws that prevent this situation from occurring to begin with. Parental alienation syndrome is a type of abuse, and I think it needs to get a lot more attention than it's getting, but it does create a highly hostile situation between ex-adults who've had children together, and this is a weapon, an emotional weapon that's used usually by women to try to impact the relationship with the father. Now, there are remedies for this. There's a movement as a father, like I said, who went through the family court system in the state of Texas. There is a process or a movement that's occurring in the United States, and it's a father's rights movement. If you're in a similar situation, you want information on it, go check out the father's rights movement. It's a movement to try to get 50-50 custody for all parents as a default custody order for if you have children. So go look that up. I think that would be a good solution or a good remedy for this problem. But regardless, I think the family court systems need a major overhaul. So we know Chad was mad. We know he was upset. We know that the courts are looking at this. We know the Attorney General's office is looking at this. I know that there's a civil lawsuit that's been released. I know the the wife of Chad, who was filming from inside the vehicle, is the one who initially released this video. She's filed a lawsuit against Kyle. Now, the lawyers are all locked up in legal gymnastics. I'm no attorney. I think this could go either way. I am interested to see how this turns out. If they choose to no bill him or not bring charges against him, I could see how that could be the case. I think this could go 50-50. Bad decisions were being made at all levels, and you end up with one person dead. You got, a person who said, get off my property. You got a guy who didn't believe him when he said that you need to leave my property or else. And he escalated it to a physical confrontation, and now he's dead. Now, Chad could have been right in wanting to, stay there to get his kids, etc., and had the moral high ground. But he lost that, and now he's dead, right? So he gambled with someone who brought deadly force into a verbal argument where emotions were charged, and now he's no longer with us. So he could have been right, but you can still be right and be dead at the same time, right? So, do you want to run that risk? If you're in a similar situation, the best thing to do is just take it to the easement, let the police handle it, and, do what Chad had threatened to do. He was going to subpoena these people. He was going to bring them into court. He was going to get them for, interfering with custody and et cetera, and I think he probably would have had a sympathetic judge's ear, but now he's dead, right? Anyway, I told you about the family court system, how I feel about it. You know, this is just kind of wrapping up the video. I think the family court system is an abomination in the United States. Parents equally love their children. Men love their children just as much as women do. I think 50-50 custody should be the default custody order in all cases where there's a custody dispute. You take emotion out of it. You figure out how to raise these children as co-parents, and there's no one parent has more authority over the child than the other. 50-50 custody orders should be the default. It's a movement that's occurring. I think it should be explored even further. But no matter what, the family court system needs to be overhauled. The family court systems, at least in the state of Texas, are a civil matter. So what happened out there up until until Kyle ordered Chad to leave his property was all a civil issue. Yes, this was a court-ordered visitation, but it's a civil court order. It doesn't have a lot of weight, and usually if there's any kind of liability or any punishment associated with these violations of court orders, it has to do with contempt of the court and the judge's ability to lock someone up for a contempt of court violation. So it doesn't have a lot of power. I know a lot of people were making comments about that. It's not a criminal court system. Chad should have stayed on the easement. I've said it several times now. Chad should have stayed on the easement. Chad should have stayed on the easement. Chad should have stayed on the easement. If he stayed on the easement, he would still be alive. He would be taking his ex-wife to court again for a visitation violation of the court's order, and potentially gotten her, fined through the court system. But instead, they're burying Chad. So, Chad, you should have stayed on the easement, buddy. It's not good what happened, but you should have stayed on the easement. Kyle should have got his girlfriend and gone in the house and stayed in the house. That was kind of my initial reaction to this whole thing. Obviously, you don't have a duty to retreat, right? You don't have a duty to retreat. You have castle doctrine. There's a lot of legal authority for you to protect your family, protect your property, to stand your ground and defend yourself, right? There's a lot of that power. But with that power comes some responsibility, some good moral compass when it comes to how you use this. There was nothing preventing you, Kyle, from telling your girlfriend to get in the fucking house. You go in the house, you close the door, you lock it, you wait for the cops to come, and you trespass Chad. Kyle, you chose a different route. I think you used poor judgment when you did so. That's my opinion. I think that you were justified in your actions, but I don't think you used good judgment. So regardless, that's my position on this, guys. Tell me what your thoughts are on this. Do you think I got this wrong in any way? Do you think that, Kyle was 100% justified and therefore morally justified? Or do you think he could have done something different and prevented this whole situation? We know Chad could have done something different. We don't get to hear from him anymore. So anyway, let me know your thoughts. Give me a like, subscribe, share with your friends. Let's talk about it in the comment section below, and check me out on all my other social media, Linktree. With that, I'm going to sign off. So stay vigilant, stay active, stay in the fight, and I'll see you again. Take care. Bye-bye.